Welcome to True Life Stories. In this podcast, we shall tell the story of the lady whose husband with his friends swapped their wives every 3 months. But before we get into it, do subscribe if you like True Life Stories and hit the notification button to be notified anytime a new podcast is posted. Now let's get into the story. When Alima was young, she was hot, that is, she liked going out with friends a lot. So it was through this attitude of hers that she met her husband. When she met her husband, he was very rich and famous, a businessman in the country Ghana. He took good care of her, gave her money when she needed it, and even went ahead to open a huge nails and eyelashes studio for her because that is what she does. Due to these, she developed deep love and affection for him. A short while into their friendship, he went for an engagement list to prepare and marry her. Not long afterward they had a glamorous wedding. The wedding was a talk in the town. The husband had prominent friends in the country, and before they got married, he took her on some of his business trips, traveling to some countries like Dubai, China, and others. So, some few months into their marriage, her husband told her that they will go on a couple's retreat together with his friends and their wives. So, they left for this marriage retreat. They left Accra to another town, but along the way, her husband and his friends and their wives, numbering about 6 couples, made stopovers at various restaurants to refresh and enjoy themselves. But at a point her husband stopped and asked her to go and sit in another couple's car. She asked why, and the husband explained that it was part of the journey so that she would be able to have more interaction with the other man. As she was getting down from her husband's car, she noticed that the wife of the other man was coming to sit in her husband's car. Though she was confused about the arrangement, she complied and went and sat the other man's car. The man started to chat with her, a normal conversation, as they journeyed on till they arrived at their destination after about 6 hours on the road. They then went to a huge hotel in the town, a very beautiful edifice. Over there she returned to her husband like all the other women. The rooms have been booked already, so she checked into their room, refreshed themselves, and went to bed. The next morning, they all met for breakfast on a big buffet table with all kinds of drinks and food. They ate and enjoyed themselves, but along the line she realized the men were leaving with their friends' wives instead of their own wives. A man would stand and take a friend's wife away to his room. So, her husband stood up and went in for the lady who came to sit in his car when they were coming. Because she was confused about what was happening, she called her to find out what was going on. Then her husband told her that she could go with the man whose car she sat when they were coming because he is going that man's wife. She asked why, and the husband said that they are brothers, and this is what they do: they share their wives among themselves, and that is why they are rich and famous, and that instead of having extramarital affair outside, they rather do it with their friends' wives, that one it would not come out, that is, no one would hear of it. So, they are operating a group marriage where a man could go in for his brother's wife and sleep with her. Alima at this point was very confused, but she had no choice than to go with the man. She sat in his car, and because she was drunk, she could not remember what happened that night, but upon waking up in the morning, she realized that the man had slept with her. Alima texted the husband that she wanted to leave because she was not comfortable with the situation. Her husband then sent the man's wife to come and talk to Alima. When she came, she told Alima that this arrangement is better than her husband going out for someone he does not know who could betray him later. She then encouraged Alima to have fun with her husband, because there is nothing wrong with that. Though Alima was not comfortable with the arrangement, she later relaxed because her husband is part and in agreement with it. So Alima spent 3 days with someone's husband, after which they all returned home, and nobody is supposed to have anybody's wife or husband's contact. Whatever happened there has ended. When they got home, Alima's husband told her that what happened must not come out. If it comes out, it would result in death for whoever brought it out. Alima got a bit scared when she heard that, but because they were married, she kept everything to herself. 3 months later, Alima went for the couple's retreat again for second and spent 3 days with another friend of her husband while he was with the friend's wife. This time it was normal for Alima. However, when they went for the third time 3 months after, something happened. When it was time for them to exchange wives, the man Alima went to was her ex-boyfriend. They were both shocked to see each other there, and her ex-boyfriend told her that because she refused to marry him, he was not having money, he joined the group. They continue with the journey, and as usual they spent 3 days together, but this time because they knew each other already they exchanged contact, which was not part of the deal. At this time nobody knew that they know each other. When they returned to their respective homes they started chatting, and because they knew each other already they started having an affair outside her marriage, though it was not supposed to be so. Alima will wait for the husband to go to work, and then she would also leave her work to go and meet this ex-boyfriend. One day Alima and the ex-boyfriend went out as usual to meet at a guest house. After they were done with their affair and was about to leave the premise, Alima saw her husband standing at the car park with the arms folded and smiling at them. In shock Alima shouted, and when the ex-boyfriend also saw her husband he also shouted and went unconscious. The ex-boyfriend was quickly rushed to the hospital. Alima then called his wife and informed her of what has happened. The doctors checked him and confirmed that he had stroke. Alima at this point was very confused and worried, but she gathered courage and decided to go home and find out what was going on there as well. Alima thought her husband would attack and accused of her adultery, but nothing like that happened. Her husband behaved as if nothing has happened, however his mood towards Alima changed. Alima got scared due to the husband's reaction. She thought he could do something against her, as he would go into his secret room for a long time without coming out. She could not also ask him any question. She was not happy anymore, though her husband continued to give her housekeeping money. Now because Alima was scared and confused and could not tell anybody about the situation, she decided to leave the marriage. She then went to her mother to inform her that she was leaving the marriage and that she was tired of it. Alima's mother did everything she could, but Alima refused to tell her the exact reasons why she was leaving the marriage. Alima's mother decided to ask her husband what was happening, and the man said he had nothing against Alima, so Alima rather must explain why she was leaving the marriage. But Alima was not ready to say anything, so her mother had no option than to go and pack Alima's belongings from her husband's place. While they were packing her things, Alima suddenly felt something fell on her eyes. Before she realized she was blind, she could not see anything again. Alima started shouting for help, and her mother and other neighbors came to help her out together with her belongings from the husband's house. All these while the husband was smiling as he stood at the gate waiting for them to leave. Alima has been blind since then. So that is the story of Alima. If you think there is something she could do, please leave it in the comment section. Thanks for listening, and do subscribe for more true life stories.